if you were never curious about a tattoo, or on the flip side, if you have one that you want to share, I'm going to try to pull some up. Some people have shared already their tattoos on the Facebook group, so I'm going to pull some up.
Wait. A drum roll. Do you have any tattoos?
Yes, of course. Of course.
Oh,
Of
hey, Jen.
course.
Oh, awesome. Yes. Jen, I'm so glad that you're here. Okay. So I want to start with do you have any memorial tattoos?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay, good. So I want to hear the story of your tattoos, though. I still want to hear the story because they mean things.
Mm-hmm.
They mean things to us, and that's what's so amazing. So I am 60 years old this year, and I never thought I would have a tattoo. Never. Because you know why? I couldn't think of one thing that I would possibly want to put on as a tattoo. I couldn't. I was like, I see people with Winnie the Pooh and Mickey Mouse, and I'm like, there is no way I'm getting that as a tattoo. I hope that's not your tattoo, and I don't want to offend you in any way. So Donovan died in 2015, and we'd already been through Austin dying in 2010. And my sister, there's 5 of us. There's 5 girls and my sister-in-law, and we all were really close. We're all in a group text, like we do everything together. And she came to us and she said, "Hey, you guys, I want to get a tattoo. And I want to get a tattoo in honor of Donovan, in honor of our sisterhood, in honor of what we've been to together as sisters. That just because you guys really showed up for me, I want to get this tattoo." So here they're all like, "Yeah, let's get the tattoo." And I'm like, "A tattoo? That's so permanent. Like, I'm not getting a tattoo. Are you crazy?" So she wanted to get an infinity circle. So an infinity circle, but just at the end of it, it says sisters. And so she starts showing me the infinity circle, and I'm like, there's a necklace. We could get the necklace. There's a bracelet. We could get the bracelet. And I'm going to say something here that's totally inappropriate. But she finally texted me one day and she's like, "Bitch, we're getting the tattoo and you're going to be there." And so Tony, my husband, doesn't particularly care for women with tattoos. And I was like, there's no way he's going to go for this. And he was like, no. And then I said to him, I said, "This is not about me. This is not about you. This is something so deeper. Erica truly needs this as part of her healing. It's going to bind us together, and it's really about Donovan." And I said, "I promise I'm going to get it in a place where you won't see it. I'm definitely not wanting it." And so it's right here. I put it by my heart. It's right here. I forget that it's there most of the time. It's in an infinity circle and it says sisters in it. And we went to get the tattoo, and I walked in the tattoo shop and I said, "I better go first or otherwise I'm leaving." She made a total experience out of it. You know, everyone was drinking mimosas. We were together. It was all of us and all of our nieces, and we all got the same tattoo. Everyone picked their spot where they wanted it. And you know how you hear the story about once you get the first one, then you
Because I was like, Sharon, you have more than just that tattoo. So how do you go from Tony saying to now you just tatted up? Okay.
so we went back to okay, so I want to add a little bit more to that story. Um, Prior to that, just prior to Donovan dying, he had gotten a Fleur de Lis because we're from Louisiana. He got a Fleur de Lis on his shoulder, and he got Austin's name in it. It was absolutely beautiful. And when he died, she's like, "I need it." Erica was like, "I need the tattoo. I need the tattoo." So I went in and actually took the photo. I actually asked the funeral director, and he sent it to us. She contacted the exact tattoo artist who did the tattoo on his arm, and that's who did the fleur de lis. So it's like there were all these traditions. You know, we were talking about traditions. There were all these traditions added into it. So I have been married for 38 years. My husband had a heart attack in 2000, and I love his writing. You were talking about your your grandfather's writing. I love his writing, and we've been through this heart thing since 2000. I mean, it's 2023. It's 23 years we've been dealing with his heart. And so I asked Josh if he would do this tattoo for me, and it's my husband's signature, which I absolutely love, and it actually goes into his actual heartbeat. And so this you said something yesterday, and I want to point this out, is that he's still alive. And this right here is my most prized possession. because other than him and my family, it is something I look at all the time. It's something I love. It's meaningful to me and him. He wrote it out, and Josh, who was supposed to speak tonight, actually did this tattoo for me. So that started that tattoo. And then I'll do one more, is that 7 years ago, I lost my best friend. Next year will be 7 years. Her name was Sharon also. And through that experience, I have never been the same. I have never been the same, and I consider myself forever changed. I lost someone very special to me, and I actually named my grief program Forever Changed. And so that was the tattoo that Josh also did for me, is Forever Changed, and that's my Sharon tattoo. Just knowing that she has left me, and that, man, that leans into what Chris was saying, like keeping her alive and the ancestry of that. So beautiful, beautiful share. So, and now I'm like wanting to get another tattoo. I don't know what it would be, but I got to stop.
You can't be stopped.
Is that what happens?
So, okay, so here's my story. So the very first tattoo I got was when I turned 18. It was
It's Josh.
okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead and mute and call him. Go ahead and mute and talk. I mean, listen to him. Okay. So I was 18 years old, and I knew, so I probably asked my mom before, and she just wasn't for it. She never had a tattoo, and she was like, you don't need a tattoo. So when I was old enough to get a tattoo by myself, I just went. I didn't consult with her. I found somebody else who had a tattoo by this guy, and I remember being there. This is the only memory I have about getting the tattoo. I went in there, and this guy, his name was Dickie. That was the name of the tattoo artist. And I remember him getting started, and he was like, do you have any other tattoos? And I was like, no. He was like, so you're about to lose your virginity. And mind you, I was still a virgin. So I'm like, I guess. He was like, well, you about to find out why they call me Dickie. And I was like, whoa. Like, it was my moment of me realizing I'm an adult, and that he wasn't being inappropriate in saying that legally. And he probably used that line on a bunch of people because that was like his little catchphrase, but it totally caught me off guard. It didn't ruin the moment. I had on my tattoo was the big, in my culture, they call it tramp stamp, but I'm proud of my name. It has my name on the back, and it has a big crown over it, like a royalty thing. I remember being very particular about how he drew it so it looked how I wanted it to look. So that was my very first tattoo. But then I got 3 tattoos on the same day. So me and my best friend, we are still friends now, but we aren't as close because I moved to Georgia. She still lives in Miami. We got this tattoo on my wrist, and I'm going to put some pictures in the Facebook group so you guys can see it more clearly. But on my wrist, it's called an ambigram. And I really want to share this one because if you're grieving and you want something creative, unique, and meaningful, look up ambigrams, because this one, it says family, but when you turn it upside down, it says friends. So it's 2 words in one. Sometimes you can make names into ambigram. Like if I wanted to put my name and my husband's name, if I wanted to put my children's name, like there are ways where you can mix up different things into an ambigram. But me and her got the friends and family tattoo together. And that was the day I met my husband, the day that I got this tattoo. And then I got one on my foot, and it says on belay, and it's symbolic for walk by faith. So when you are rock climbing, which I've never been rock climbing, but I heard this metaphor and I didn't want to put walk by faith on my foot. I felt like that was so cliche. So when you're rock climbing, you put on this harness, and that is what you depend on to protect you from falling and getting hurt, injured, die, anything like that. So the saying that you tell the people is on belay, saying that it's ready and you're ready to go, and you have the full faith of this harness that is going to carry you to where you are. So I got on belay tattooed on my foot, and I actually got the idea. It was a spiritual book that I read when I was in college, and they explained the metaphor, and I was like, I'm getting that. That's meaningful. But the last tattoos that I got, I have a butterfly on the back of my neck. That was actually symbolic for my first love. He gave me like a butterfly necklace, It was like my first kind of jury thing, but I loved the meaning behind cocooning, being an adult, understanding that I'm a new person. And then my husband, his very first tattoo, he said we should get matching tattoos with our names. And so it's funny that you was like Tony wasn't into tattoos, because I used to say I would never get a man's name on me. I would never get that. But for it to be his first tattoo, and he was asking me to get his name, but he was putting my name on him as his first tattoo, that was like, okay, how do I tell him no? So I don't know if you heard that last part, Josh, but I got my last tattoo is my husband's. It's his. It says "Be Mine," and it has the day we got married. So it's in Roman numerals, our wedding date, and mine is "My Joy." So he puts "My Joy" and mine is "Be Mine," and it's our wedding date on there. So when you think about, I say all that to say, no, I don't have a memorial tattoo, but three of my tattoos is directly linked to someone else. Somebody that is still physically here that made an impact on my life. So I know that inevitably when they leave this earth, that I will constantly have a reminder of them. But then you think about the symbolism of having my husband's name. What happens if he passes away or we divorce? It's like, where do I put the new date? Do I put like the end date?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
You keep referring to like this. So is it on your booty or
it's
what?
On my side. It's not on my butt. It's right here on my side.
You know you're talking to a tattoo artist when he can tell where the tattoo is at.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
How you doing? My name is Joshua Spars. I go by Spar. I'm a tattoo artist of 17 years this year. But like when you just touching base on what you were saying about getting a tattoo with somebody that's still around, it really is just a connection, right? So the same thing when somebody passes, it's still having a connection to them,
Such a beautiful thing. Such a beautiful thing.
So Sharon, go ahead and kind of introduce how you guys started. I know you said you had him do that tattoo with Tony's signature, but how did you guys meet?
We met through his sister. Two of his sisters. I knew two of his sisters, and they introduced us. And I guess I'll go ahead and say it because he's already shared it in his talk, but he and I worked together. We did some grief work together. But Josh is an inspiration. He is a beautiful soul and spirit. He is, I love sitting and just talking with him. Whenever we get together, even just doing the tattoo, it's a 3-hour talk because we're constantly talking about spirit, connection to earth, connection to God, connection to the universe. Like it doesn't matter. We always go into those talks where our life's going and the energy and, just even getting grounded. We talk about getting grounded, getting up, and Josh shared, just drink some water first thing in the morning, take your shoes off, feel the earth. Like just our conversations are just so powerful and impactful. And I just love him. So that's how he came. We got together. And then I was just like, dude, I want to get this tattoo. And he did it. And when I knew I wanted the second tattoo, I only wanted him to do it. So I waited. I never even said anything. We're on the plane going to California. I never said anything to my husband. We landed. I was like, I have an appointment at 3:00 to get a tattoo. And he was like, what? And so he waited in the car. And then finally he was like, this is taking too long because we never started the tattoo. We were talking.
Oh, I know.
And so then Tony came in. But I knew that I wanted Josh to be a part of this because so many of us as grievers, it's the first time that we ever think of getting a tattoo. It is the first time. Like we as a griever, we're dying to do something to make that connection. Yeah. So that is so cool. So that's how we met. So.
And Josh, I just want to say, so if you have Legacy Level, you can watch his interview right away. If not, you just have to wait until tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Gotcha. But I want to say, without giving any spoilers, that I feel like I know you already. Like it translated through the video. Your personality, just your spirit, the way that you explain your process and how you help people discover. Because I love how you said sometimes people come in there thinking they want one thing, but you get to know them. You have that conversation to make sure. Because I remember that happened to me. Like I didn't just I love how you say you make them come another day. when I got this big, huge tattoo as my first tattoo, my tramp stamp on my back, the guy was like, "Are you sure?" And he made me come back, and we had this whole process. But to me, I feel like, especially when you're grieving, you don't want to make a rash decision on something like that. And then I loved how you talked about, well, do you want it to be on your back where you're never going to see it, or do you want it somewhere where you can actually look at it over and over and over again? So share again how you are helping people to kind of make sure that it's a special place to be able to be a part of somebody's capturing the memory of their person. That's completely amazing.
Well, I think regardless of what the craft or the tool is, it's making human connections with people, right? And so that's what it comes down to. So and then when it comes to the actual tattooing part of it, the reason why it's important to connect with somebody is because you're literally transferring energy. So you want it to be with the right person, the right vibe, the right energy. I mean, essentially, like you're really sharing DNA. Like as we break skin, there's a mist of plasma that floats around us, and I'm breathing that in, so it's like a real intense connection when you take it to that level, like on a cellular level,
Oh, wow. Talk about mind blowing, right?
Yeah, it's like totally mind blowing. And I would imagine that. So like for me, I was kind of resistant to get the first tattoo, which you didn't do that first tattoo, but it was for Donovan. I was resistant, and my sisters were like, we're doing this. But when we sat down and talked about the importance of it and the connection to it and what the connection was going to be, that's where I went in. I went in for that. I went in for putting it by my heart, remembering Donovan, being my own thing. And honestly, the only time I see it is when I get out of the shower and I'm doing my hair, and it scares the crap out of me because I'm like, what is that? Oh yeah, that's a tattoo. But thank you, Donovan. Yeah, he picked the perfect spot. But knowing the connection that it makes, and that I have that, like when I leave here, I'm still going to have that connection to him.
Oh yeah.
And to my sisters, because that's what it meant.
Well, it just marks, like in our linear timeline, it marks these certain dates, and it reminds us, a lot of what was happening, and that helps with when you're wanting to heal. You just know it's almost like a sobriety date of some sort. It's certain moments that like mean a lot to you.
I have some tattoos that I wanted to share from the people who've been joining us all week. So somebody said they couldn't make it to our session today, but they still wanted to share. So I pulled it up on the screen. I really want you to see the actual tattoo. I'll read the narrative, but it says, I have a dental appointment. I don't mind for you to share. I designed it myself after looking at a number of design elements online. I'm 63 years old now. I got it 5 years ago. At the 1-year anniversary of the death of my husband of 35 years, 7 months, and 17 days. 1 year previous, August 26, 2017, was the most painful day of my life. This seemed to be perfect to get something that would be painful yet permanent. I never thought I would get a tattoo, but I wanted it on my forearm so I could be reminded of him and our life together when I see it.
Oh, that's great.
And I see it's like mountains and the sun coming up and the heart
and waves.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice the waves at first. Yeah, I love it. It's so much going on, but I'm sure each of these things has a meaning. I definitely am going to have her to tell us to break it down in the Facebook group.
It is interesting how those they're short moments depending on how big the tattoo is, but it's a moment of pain. But then later, it could be like that day or a week or a month, and it starts to bring happiness to you.
Yeah.
That's the interesting part. And it can even be like, you might not even pay attention to it because life is so busy and there's a lot going on already, that months later, a year later, you notice it and you just, oh, wow, like I really enjoy this,
Oh, so somebody wants to get a tattoo. Just having the conversation. One of the things that I love, and I want to share this real quick, is I love that when I'm teaching and I point, I love that I can see it.
Yeah.
Because it reminds me when I'm driving, I can look at it. Yeah. And okay, so I want to tell you something else. Tony did not want to get it. I wanted to write my name and give my heartbeat, but he was like, I'm not doing that. I never imagined myself with a tattoo. Everywhere we go. You see what Sharon has? See that right there?
He's proud of it too.
He's so proud of it. He points it out to everybody. At the end of the show, Facebook user, we're going to tell you where Josh is so that you guys can go and get a tattoo.
But
from Josh.
in like say something like you have your tattoos, they're you would consider a small tattoo,
Yeah.
and they're just placement is super important.
Yeah.
You know, so as long as you could have like a okay quality tattoo, but as long as it's placed right and it has, you know, some good like composition to it, it's gonna look good.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
you do,
like-
you enjoy them.
You tell the story about the one that you have on your neck. I remember when I was getting tattoos, the reason I got it on my wrist is because I could like cover it up with like all of mine are in like little discreet places. But what about the people who want to come in places where it's meant to be seen? Like no matter what you have going on, like why did you choose that placement?
I would say this. I mean, I'm running out of space. But this one is actually, so I started with this little angel right here, right? And I talked about it in the video that it was a client of mine who was very young. He was probably like less than 30, and he died in Sweden. He's Swedish, and he was living out here on for a few years with school and whatnot, the exchange student. Then he stayed out here for a little bit. So we connected when I started tattooing him. I enjoyed him. He enjoyed me. We had such a good time together that I did this a version of this tattoo on him, and that was like for him, for his mom. Well, he ended up passing, and then a few years later, his mom ended up passing also. I just really loved the design, and it had a meaning to me for him, so I got this first. I just love angels and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, I love that.
But the writing is interesting, and all this type
it
of
says
work,
good for you, right?
Yeah, all this type of work is super painful. And I will say, at the times I got them, I was going through a lot, and so it just helped therapeutically to like push yourself through a threshold of pain, you know. And it's almost like a release valve, you know, for your own body, really. So this was a saying that I really like, and it's weird because it can kind of have like two meanings, right?
Sarcasm.
It could kind of sound kind of snarky, but really what it is, I wanted it there because I want good for everybody.
Yeah.
So when somebody tells me something, you know, I want to do this, I'm like, yeah, good for you, you know. Or like, I'm starting to exercise, I'm doing this, I'm spending time with my family, I'm like, good for you, and I'm sincere about it, you know. And so I just, a term that I've heard in the past, somebody has told me, and I just liked it so much, you know, that I was like, man, that's a powerful, words are powerful, you know. Like spelling is you know, the word spell, you know, it's like,
tell Joy that she heard it in your talk, but tell Joy that.
Yeah, you know, it's like casting a spell. And so,
ooh, I love it.
Yeah, and words are powerful. So, you know, to me, like, it really is that, you know, I want good for you. And then when I see it in the mirror, I'm like, good for you. Look, like, you got to remind yourself through these times in life that, hey, look, you're grateful. You know, I didn't want to get, I'm blessed or I'm grateful or something like that. You know, I just wanted something that was kind of like a double entendre also.
Absolutely. We have another share. I'm going to read it, but I'm going to pull up the picture. It says, my mom, her sister, my sister, and I all got this tattoo in memory of our great grandma. She was half Menominee Indian. There is a darkened E in the feather for Elsie. She probably rolled over in her grave. Oh my God, that's so funny. But that's a tattoo. I love it.
That's great.
It's so beautiful.
I just got a text. Josh is so handsome.
Single.
Oh, look.
He said I'm single.
Kim said this was a first tattoo for all of us, and we did it together. That was Kim's tattoo. On our way to the parlor, an old song came on the radio with the grandma song. So maybe she's okay with it after all. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Kim.
And
Thank
that's
you, thank
interesting.
you,
That's
thank you.
interesting too. Is like, a lot of it comes down to like you could say like the needle hitting the skin, right? Like that's the moment of the tattoo happening. But really, the moment is everything. It's the night before,
Yeah.
the drive there, it's the preparation, and then it's after when you're leaving, and you're coming down from the endorphin high of it, and then there's the healing process of it too.
Absolutely.
So it's almost like a what's that called? Like when you're an analogy, right?
Yeah.
It's like your tattoo's healing, and then part of you is also healing.
Wow. Look at that.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Oh my gosh, I'm going to cry again. Okay, one of the questions I have is, have you ever turned down a tattoo job because you thought it was inappropriate? And how do you handle, like, if somebody wants to tattoo something inappropriate? Has that ever happened?
I don't work in the public, so I don't really have to deal with that.
Okay.
I'm private, so when people usually come to me, they're kind of like, they go through like a little bit of a filter. Like for instance, if somebody comes to me through you guys, it's going to be through this filter. So it's just, they're like prepped already to like, not, they don't go that route. And if most people do the research, they look online, they see my work, like, oh, I see he does this type of work.
Okay.
So it's very rare that happens. But I have talked people out of like I'm like, man, that might not look so good, or let's give it some meaning. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So there is also this time where the person comes in to get the tattoo, and you find out about the person and the memorial tattoo they want. Like, you're literally there, you connect with them. And that's what Joy was talking about, how you sometimes can help them figure out a different portion of it. But you actually, go ahead. Yeah, you're okay. You actually connect with them as they're doing the tattoo, and you find out what they want and why this for this person, and is so huge and beautiful.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it could be like
These are Josh's designs.
A lot of people think it's like just a visual idea all the time, right? But sometimes it could just be like when I'm talking to somebody and they mention something about their family member or whoever, and it could be like a number pops up and it keeps popping up, and I'm like, well, why don't we have this number here? So it's not always like a visual thing, always like this beautiful sun or whatever, So sometimes it's these little things when people start saying stuff. It could be a letter, a shape, and then that shape could have this meaning to that person. Maybe somebody looking at it might not understand it, but the person that's wearing it can talk about it. Because really what happens, the tattoo becomes a conversation piece.
Yeah.
And it allows them to share. Then it gets better and easier as you keep coping with it.
One of the things you talk about is the energy of the person, the griever's energy, your energy, as you guys are doing the tattoo together, and that even when they leave, like you have to unwind, you have to release the energy. So
yeah.
it is an emotional experience to come in and absolutely get that tattoo.
Well, it's almost like earlier I was thinking of like, Michael Jordan would talk about being in the zone, right? And it's like we have to get into that zone, where we mesh. Sometimes we might be talking to each other without even talking to each other. We're just there in a timeless space, creating, feeling it, and making it happen. And so that's part of the process of like the whole tattoo in itself right there.
So I wanted to share, my grandmother and my mom, they got their first tattoo together when one of them was 50. I was a kid, so I don't remember who was 50 at the time, but they got a Betty Boop. So I was laughing when you were talking about Winnie the Pooh and all of this. They got Betty Boop, because they're both obsessed with Betty Boop. And my mom got Lisa and her former husband's name, Lisa Lugo. because she's since then been divorced, remarried. And so I remember thinking like, oh man, I wonder if she's going to get that part covered up or what she's going to do with that. But I know that that is something that connects my mom and my grandma. Like now I'm jealous. Like I need a tattoo that man. I'm not getting Betty Boop. But, but I don't think my grandma will ever get another one. So I have to figure out how to incorporate that so I could be a part of it because we're like 3 peas in the pie.
Well, I mean, sometimes it's just, you know, it's nowadays it's so different. It becomes a fun thing nowadays, you know, and especially if you get like generations involved, you know, even if they don't have any or they did a long time ago. So I think it's just really just making it a question to somebody. Hey, would you be willing to do this? You know, you never know until you ask, I guess.
She gonna be like, Joy, do you know how old I'm turning this? So do you get a lot of older people? I know you she asked that too, but like I know that as you get older, that's when you start thinking. I know you said the older people have the more meaningful tattoos because they think about it, right?
Yeah, and when I say older, I'm saying like 35 and up.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They've been through a little bit more in life, you know, career changes, children, marriage, divorce, death, you know, so they might have a little bit more. Not to say that young people don't, because I have a good amount of young clients that do get meaningful tattoos. And I feel like a lot of like, not to sound like I'm making a box that people fit in, but it seems like when there's like good kids and they want to get a tattoo, but they're not sure what to get, I swear, a lot of times they get tattoos that are like for their grandparents. You know, it's just, I even did it myself, and I've done it on people many times, whether they passed or they're like not doing too good, and that's their first tattoo. They want, and it's interesting because it's very tribal in a sense of where they're going to pay homage to the elderly.
Mm-hmm. Ancestors, we were just talking about that.
Yeah,
to their ancestors in their tribe. So that's been something that's been going on for thousands and thousands of years. So it's always interesting when I see young kids come in. I'm like, what do you want to do? They're like, well, I want to do a piece for my grandfather. I'm like, oh, okay, wow. Like, so, you know, it just depends, you know.
that is so interesting. Oh, I'm sorry. That's so interesting you said that. I wish I would have had my pictures pulled out, but my grandson, who my husband and I took a very big part in raising, at 16 started telling me he was getting a tattoo, and I was like, fine, but you have to wait till you're 18. And so the tattoo that he got, the first tattoo that he got, is a rosary for his other grandmother. He did a rosary on his arm, which is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it was an homage to her, and he was 18.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. And he's a photographer. And so the second tattoo he got was a camera. Yeah.
But it's always interesting that I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm like painting that just these people are like this, but it always seems like the people who do that are like good, down to earth people, you know, from the gate, you know, and they're doing it for their grandparents. Or their parents.
That is true, because we were talking about honoring your ancestors, and you just reminded me of something. But when I was a little girl, going back to Louisiana, my grandmother had a black and white octagon floor in her kitchen. Oh, cool. And she had a huge walk-in pantry. And when I built my house in California, that's where I wanted a huge walk-in pantry, and I wanted this black and white. And so the tile in my kitchen really came from my childhood, and it came from that. So that's really huge.
I guess it's a sense of always trying to pay homage to your loved ones, you know.
There, how many times do you think that you have people that never got a tattoo but experienced a death, and then that's their first tattoo? Does that happen more than anything else?
Yeah, quite a bit. And it always ends up being like that's their only tattoo.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Because it's almost like if they got more, it starts to take away from that tattoo. If they're not like tattooed people, you know.
I wanted to share. I was listening to the radio recently, and I don't know he's a radio personality, but I think he's celebrity in a different fashion. He has his name tattooed on him like more than once in different locations, his son. And when his son got his first tattoo, it was of his mom, the son's mom. So he was like, I got your name all over. Are you going to get my name? And he was like, and then after his second tattoo was his grandma. And so So they had a whole talk about that, about how sometimes it's not the reciprocal thing. And then I was spending all this time trying to find a picture of my tattoos. Here's one of them where you can see the butterfly at the top and then the big crown with my name.
Did you have that dress made so that the tattoos would show just perfectly?
I found the dress and I was like, exactly, this is made for me. I don't know, like I still love them, but I don't know that they aged well. Like I really wish I could just get my whole back redone and kind of enhance it now that I'm older. That was something that I got when I was just 18, 19 years old.
Oh yeah.
But now that I'm in my 30s, I actually turned 35 this year. I definitely have explored the idea of like doing like a mural or something on my back to kind of still tell the story of what those two tattoos mean, but then incorporate other things that have happened in my life.
So it's like I said, 35 and up.
One of the things that I remember when my girls were young and they would talk about tattoos, and I was like, I'm fine with you getting a tattoo, because I was not a tattoo person, and now I have more than both of my daughters. I have more than both of them. I'm fine with you getting a tattoo. I have two rules. It cannot be on your face. It cannot be on your hands. It can't be anywhere that it shows in the when you're dressed, because, and this is what I used to tell them, you don't want to be wearing a big old giant tattoo on the day of your wedding. Here you're walking down the aisle and you got this big old Mickey Mouse on your shoulder. Number one. Number two, you go to be in your daughter's wedding and now Mickey's all shriveled up 40 years later now, and then I end up being the one that gets a tattoo. So I was an event planner for many years and I did weddings. And I did a wedding where the girl had the big old giant Mickey Mouse tattoo on her shoulder as she got married. And I think that my daughter saw it and they were like, yes. I feel different about that now, but that's the way that I felt back then. But I definitely feel different about it now.
When I get what you're saying, because I'll see that too, like in pictures and stuff. But what I know is that when people get a tattoo, like it just means so much to them.
Yeah,
it's like the whole. It breaks the whole idea of like judging a book by its cover.
Yeah.
So it's like that's just who they are at this point.
I love the way the direction the world is going in, where I love when I go to a professional setting and I see somebody with visible tattoos, because it makes you realize like it doesn't take away from their value, their skills, their professionalism. Like I love that we're finally getting to a point where that stuff is not preventing people from being able to do whatever they're gifted to do. I hope to see judges and people in these prestigious positions.
I don't hope to see judges.
You don't want a judge with a tattoo?
He don't want to tattoo him.
I don't want to ever see a judge.
Tatted out.
You don't want to be before the judge.
Yeah. No, but you know what? The other day, it's weird because there's like a fine line. Like there's like this weird unspoken thing about tattoos, right? And so like in the tattoo world or industry, like a lot of people say, oh, like that's a tattoo gun, right? And it's like, no, it's not a gun, it's a machine, right? So stuff like that, right? So the other day I was driving and I saw a kid at the bus stop. He must have been like 18 to 20, maybe 24 the most. And he was in shape. He was fit. He just had his shorts on, his shirt off, and he had like just tattoos like everywhere, right? And like this like weird part of me would looked at him and was just like how does he have so many tattoos like that already? He's only like 20, right? So there's kind of like this weird like it's just such a trend,
right?
Like oh, I saw this picture on Pinterest, so I want to get it tattooed. Well, why? I don't know. I like the way that person looked in it, so that's always interesting. I mean, maybe that could go down to like, maybe it's like the male version of getting like the BBLs and the implant stuff. I don't know, but it does. But then there's this other part of me that says, but it makes them feel good.
Yeah.
It makes them feel better, right? Because us as people, I think we're like our worst enemies of not feeling good about ourselves and stuff like that. And so maybe that's just, part of it, that makes you feel good, so you get it. Who cares what it means?
Well, I distinctly remember being a young girl, and a woman with a tattoo only fit in one group.
Oh yeah.
She only fit in one group. Now I'm 60, so she only fit in one group. And even a man with a tattoo, he for sure had a motorcycle, or maybe that was just my perception of it.
Well, it's like you're a gang member, a pirate.
Yeah, it was like it was
in the
that
Navy.
way. And now everywhere you go, it's like you say, everyone has tattoos, and they're showing it, professional people. And so, the prize came up already. Are we at that time? Oh my gosh, I've been having so much fun. But the it's not that way anymore. And I think even if you felt that way, this was my experience, Josh. Even though I felt that way, a woman with a tattoo was a certain type of woman. When it came down to getting the memorial tattoo, all of that was taken out of it.
Oh yeah.
Once I got to that part, I think once Tony gave me the permission to go ahead and get the tattoo, all of that about what I first thought about tattoos, it was gone, because the meaning of what I was doing meant so much more.
Yeah.
And it was so much to me. And it was also like, good for you. And if you can't deal with it, that's your problem.
Well, you know what? And really what tattoos become, and I've learned this years ago when I wasn't tattooing, when I was 18 with barely getting tattoos, it creates like a common denominator between people.
Yeah.
You can relate to them, whether like you do this other thing or you look a certain way different than me, and we connect with just that tattoo. And it could be a small one or a large one or a lot of tattoos, and you have something in common.
When I had my gallbladder taken out, and when they were trying to diagnose the gallbladder, my nurse came in, and he was probably had as many tattoos as you have right now. Mm-hmm. And that was my nurse. And I want to tell you something. I totally trusted that dude.
Yeah.
I trusted him because you know what? I knew that something about me knew he was going to be honest.
Yeah.
Something about that. I knew he was going to be honest. Isn't that interesting?
Well, I think what happens too is like, we have this perception that is like, it's like ingrained in our DNA through like our family, our generations, to like judge a certain way. So initially you're going to judge somebody going, oh my gosh, look at this person with this hair color or this tattoos or whatever they are. And then as soon as they start talking or working with you, that like just goes out the window right away.
Yeah.
Because like I said before, what it comes down to is it's energy, right?
Yeah.
Like people always say this about me too. They're like, and a lot of tattooers get this, is like tattooing's, it's like going to a therapist.
Yeah.
It's like a hairdresser. Hairdressers, they're treating you, they're taking care of you, they're listening to you. And same thing as therapy. Like I'll share certain stories in tattooing from my own therapy sessions with you, or from something that I experienced with somebody else, and we're just sharing,
Yeah. Pauline, Josh is in Valencia, California, and he's an amazing tattoo artist. And so maybe the next time that I am in California, you and I can hook up, and I can introduce you to him, and he can do your tattoo.
And I do go to Austin, Texas quite a bit.
And Austin, Texas. Awesome. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, okay. As a 63-year-old female pastor with a tattoo, there are judgments, but I love mine. Oh, I love it, Sharon.
But I think it's interesting for somebody like that is like the judgments are like, they're like tools for the other person to learn from.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the interesting part,
Wow. That's cool. That's cool. So where can people follow you on social media? I'm
on Facebook on Spar Art, and on Instagram, Spar Art, SPARART. That's about it.
That's beautiful. That is so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming on. Let's do our prize. Okay. Who would you like to give the prize to?
Well, we have had, I wanted to give it to one of the shares, but they were our prize winners. They've been with us all day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys for participating with us. So if I'm looking for a new face, I think that I'm going to go ahead and give it to Sheila. Sheila is going to be our winner for our Amazon gift card on today for the tattoo talk. It's not enough to pay for your next tattoo. But we appreciate you guys for sharing with us. If you watching this later, please comment in the Facebook group of tattoo. If your tattoo has a story, please let us know. We'll be looking at that later on today. And I want to say too, thank you again, Josh.
You got it.
We really did enjoy being able to have this, because today was all about diversity. We had talks about empty nesters and widows and ancestry, and we really went all over the place with a lot of the talks. But I think when you're a tattoo artist, you get a chance to see different people from different walks of life. Like you said, is no longer one type of person getting a tattoo anymore. That I said a judge because I'm in law enforcement, so that was like the first thing. But representation matters, and being able to know that no matter where you come from, where you live, that we can feel connected based off of the things that we write on our bodies. I think that's powerful.
Yeah, and I think in the sense of culture, right? Everybody has their own culture, but nowadays, all of us together are this melting pot of this culture.
Yeah.
You know, so sharing your stories and ideas is part of that culture, and so I wouldn't be shy from that. And you know, just telling your stories about your tattoos or your loved ones that have passed, that's always a part of that healing process.
So if somebody wanted to book an appointment, because I know you left your social media, is there another way that you would tell them how to reach out?
Probably the best way is just to DM me through Instagram. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
You got it. I love you guys.
It was amazing. Love you too. It was beautiful.
Take
Good
care.
for you. Good for you.